So you guys are going to, this is the second of two different tutorials about how to create a color selective picture using Photoshop. So the first thing you're going to do is actually open up your file. So we're going to go to File, Open. The file that I'd like to use is actually right on my desktop. Your computers look a little bit different than mine, so you should just remember where it is that you are going to find your image. So this is an image that I took a couple of months ago. And the first one I showed you how to do was basically using an adjustment layer. What you want to make sure you have first is your screen set up so you know where everything is. I want my layers tab to be the thing that I see the clearest. And we're going to go about this in a slightly different way because I just want these sunflowers to be in color. So what I'm going to do is go into Select Color Range. And while I'm holding down the Shift key, you can see that it's already partially selected here. I'm actually going to select the rest of the flower. And this is actually selecting pretty neatly. Yours may not. So one of the things that you want to remember, say I hit this by accident and you see all of a sudden there's lots of stuff in the way. You can actually hit the Option key, okay, and subtract as well, and then sort of go back and reclaim all the yellows. That's really all I want is these yellows. And I've got a pretty fairly decent selection. So I'm going to hit OK. The next step is you want to sort of refine your selection a little bit. Up to part of my color select over here, there's a few other things. So what I'm going to do is hit Q. Okay, and you'll see that the entire background just turned red except for the flowers. So what I'm going to do is use my brush tool by hitting B. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to paint in all those areas that I don't want as part of my, I want to be black and white. You can toggle, this is called quick mask mode. You can hit Q again to sort of see where it is I need to go. Okay? And I think that's pretty good. Oh, maybe down here. I think that's pretty good. If you wanted to get into all of this stuff, you could, but honestly, it's going to be easier to fix it later. So the next step is to go into Select and you're going to inverse it. So everything but the yellow is actually selected. And at this point, you're going to go into over here on your layers, click on that black and white cookie, and click black and white. Now you can see there's some areas here that I probably need to work on, but for the most part, it worked pretty well. And you've taken out most of the work for yourself. So the last step, you can zoom in using Command plus or minus, and you're actually going to use the eraser key to go in and sort of clean up those edges. I like to use sort of the feathered brush so that it's not as hard edge. And you're just going to go in and you're going to sort of touch up some of these areas. Now, remember clicking between B, you can actually brush in some of the black and white again. For some reason this doesn't always work, but might as well test it. Hitting the space bar, you can move around a little bit better. Now, even though they seem like they're yellow back here, I'm not sure that I want them in here. But you can play around with it. This is the part you're going to spend the most time on, okay? And even though it seems like a pain in the butt, it'll pay off. And the computer did most of that work for you. So again, I'm just going in and refining my selection, sort of touching up the edges. And Command Z is undo, which is a very important shortcut. But you want to make sure you're on the eraser tool. I'm going to touch up some of this stuff over here. I'm actually going to get rid of this little yellow. I don't know what that is. And over here, I think I'm just going to make it all yellow. Might as well. Sort of get the edge there of the inner part of the flower. Maybe right here. Actually, I'll turn the entire inside of the flower color. So once you've got this done, the last step is going to be saving it as a JPEG because Photoshop files are huge, and if you're going to turn in 5 of these, X2 is never going to accept a file that big. So now I think I'm pretty much done. I'm going to zoom out. Okay, that looks pretty good. And basically, all you're going to do is click File, Save As, and I would rename it. So I'm going to name it Sunflowers. I've got a selective color folder on my desktop, so I'm going to just save it as a JPEG, which under here, format, you're going to turn to JPEG. Now, if you're not finished, you don't want to turn it into a JPEG. You want to keep it a Photoshop file because otherwise, as soon as I turn it into a JPEG, it's a flat image. And when I click on it over here, oh well, that's not the right one. But when I click on it in here, I'm not going to be able to open it in Photoshop and do any more work. It is saved just the way it is, sort of like taking a picture of it, okay? There's your final piece. That is the second way to do a selective color. If you guys have any other questions, you can ask, ask a student or send me an email or something, I guess. I hope you have a great day.